The India-Pakistan conflict today has escalated into one of the most severe confrontations in recent years, with both countries engaging in military strikes, drone warfare, and artillery exchanges. The situation is dire, with growing fears of nuclear escalation, as both nations possess nuclear weapons. The conflict has drawn international concern and calls for de-escalation. The escalation began with India's launch of Operation Sindoor on May 6–7, 2025, a series of missile strikes targeting sites in Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir, reportedly aimed at terrorist infrastructure linked to groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. These strikes resulted in significant casualties, including 31 Pakistani soldiers. Pakistan responded by claiming to have downed 5 Indian fighter jets and initiated artillery fire on Indian positions, particularly in Jammu and Kashmir. Both sides exchanged missile and drone attacks, and there were reports of civilian casualties on both sides. On May 8, Pakistan reported shooting down 25 Indian drones, some of which were Israeli-made Harop long-range drones, which had reportedly targeted military facilities in Lahore and Karachi. In retaliation, India claimed to have intercepted Pakistani missile and drone attacks targeting its military bases. The violence spread, with explosions and power outages reported in Jammu and civilian casualties in Pakistan. Tensions have been further heightened by the nuclear threat, with Pakistan's defense minister warning that nuclear war is a clear and present danger. The use of nuclear weapons by either side would have catastrophic consequences, making the current situation even more volatile. The international community has expressed concern over the ongoing conflict. The United Nations has called for maximum restraint, urging both India and Pakistan to avoid actions that could lead to a broader conflict. The United States has also offered to mediate between the two nations to help de-escalate the situation. Despite these efforts, both India and Pakistan have expressed their determination to defend themselves, and while both nations have called for de-escalation, tensions remain high. The conflict shows no sign of abating, and the fear of further escalation continues to loom large over the region. The current conflict between India and Pakistan is intensifying, and it is raising significant concerns about regional stability and global security. The roots of this conflict can be traced back to the partition of British India in 1947, which divided the region into two separate nations, India and Pakistan. The Kashmir dispute has remained at the core of the India-Pakistan rivalry, as both countries claim the region in full but control only parts of it. The region has been a flashpoint for multiple wars and numerous skirmishes, with both nations deploying military forces and engaging in proxy wars, particularly over the last few decades. The latest round of violence began with India's military operations, which are seen as a response to continued militant activity allegedly supported by Pakistan in Kashmir. On May 6, India launched Operation Sindoor, targeting what it claimed were terrorist camps in Pakistan-controlled Kashmir and other areas associated with terrorist groups such as Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, which have been involved in previous attacks on Indian soil. This was followed by reports of heavy artillery exchanges and missile strikes across the border. Pakistan has reacted strongly, asserting that it has downed multiple Indian aircraft in retaliation, including fighter jets and drones, and has struck back at Indian positions. Pakistan also reported the interception of Indian drones targeting military facilities in major cities like Lahore and Karachi. The fact that both nations are now using sophisticated drone and missile technology to target each other's military infrastructure has raised alarms about the potential for further escalation, especially considering both countries possess nuclear weapons. The nuclear threat is one of the most serious aspects of the India-Pakistan conflict. Both countries conducted nuclear tests in the late 1990s, declaring themselves as nuclear powers. The existence of nuclear weapons on both sides makes the possibility of a conventional war between the two nations incredibly dangerous. In previous years, there have been several close calls where conflicts nearly escalated into full-scale wars, and the current situation appears to be no different. Pakistan has made explicit threats that it would not hesitate to use nuclear weapons if it feels that its sovereignty is under severe threat. Given the strategic importance of both countries in the region, any use of nuclear weapons would have catastrophic consequences not only for India and Pakistan but for the broader region as well. The international community, particularly nuclear-armed powers like the United States and China, have repeatedly warned against military escalation, urging both nations to return to dialogue to avoid triggering a nuclear disaster. A significant factor in the ongoing conflict is the issue of terrorism and proxy warfare. India has long accused Pakistan of supporting militant groups that operate in Kashmir and across India. Groups such as Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, and Hizbul Mujahideen have been linked to deadly attacks in India, including the 2001 Indian Parliament attack, the 2008 Mumbai attacks, and the 2016 Uri attack. India has stated that these groups operate with the tacit support of Pakistan's intelligence agencies, and this has been one of the major sources of tension. On the other hand, Pakistan denies these allegations, arguing that it has taken action against terrorist groups operating within its borders. However, the presence of these groups, particularly in regions bordering India, continues to stoke fear in India. Pakistan argues that its actions in Kashmir are a response to what it perceives as India's oppression of Kashmiri Muslims. The conflict in Kashmir, where both sides have deployed heavy military forces, has created a volatile situation, and sporadic violence continues to claim lives on both sides of the border. The ongoing violence has drawn responses from the international community. The United States, which has historically had close ties with both India and Pakistan, has offered to mediate the situation and has urged both sides to de-escalate. Former President Donald Trump condemned India's missile strikes as a shame, calling for an immediate cessation of hostilities. The U.S. has also expressed concerns over the potential for nuclear escalation. The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has also voiced concerns, calling for maximum restraint from both sides and emphasizing the need for a peaceful resolution to the Kashmir dispute. Several other countries, including China, Russia, and the United Kingdom, have urged India and Pakistan to exercise caution and return to diplomatic talks. China, which has its own territorial disputes with India, has remained relatively neutral, although it has expressed concerns over the impact of the conflict on regional stability. India and China fought a border war in 1962, and their relationship remains tense, especially after recent skirmishes along their disputed border. China's position on the India-Pakistan conflict is carefully calibrated, as it has strong ties with Pakistan but also seeks to maintain stability in the region. The people of Kashmir have borne the brunt of the violence in this conflict. The region has been heavily militarized for decades, with both India and Pakistan maintaining significant military presence. The ongoing conflict exacerbates the already dire humanitarian situation in Kashmir. Civilians are frequently caught in crossfire, and reports of deaths, injuries, and displacement are common. In addition to the violence in Kashmir, there have been reports of civilian casualties in other parts of both India and Pakistan. The constant threat of military strikes and terrorist attacks creates a climate of fear and uncertainty. The Kashmir Valley, in particular, has witnessed extensive human rights violations, including arbitrary arrests, extrajudicial killings, and restrictions on freedom of expression and movement.